but a leader is a servant, so I love being a leader because I love to serve people. You know what I mean? That's just the truth. But
I think the best leaders aren't trying to be leaders.
Yeah.
They just come into that.
Yeah.
I'm the voice of everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I belong to the world now. Like, wherever I'm needed, I have to go. It was like, I didn't know they was gonna let me speak. I didn't set out to walk to speak. I didn't set out to walk to change anything. I didn't set out to walk. I set out to walk to honor Dr. King. Like, I'm gonna honor Dr. King when I walk. I admire Dr. King. We've been marching across the country. You know what I mean? I have a message. Marching to DC, you had people that literally just walked away from their life. Some people just was like, see me in Chicago, saw me speak, and they just left their clothes and everything. They just walked. So black people, we go march for Black Lives Matter. We supposed to. You know what I'm saying? It's our thing. White people go march for Black Lives Matter. They families cut them off. They dads cut their trust fund. They jobs fire them. And they not black. They ain't gotta lose all that shit. We black. You know what I'm saying? They lose. Dude, these white people that's been marching in Milwaukee with us have lost everything. Like husbands and wives. Like to leave your wife over Black Lives Matter and you white, or to leave your husband over Black Lives Matter and you white. That's respect from me. That, you know what I'm saying? That's real life respect. Cause I know black people that wouldn't lose their husbands and wives. I know black people that wouldn't lose their jobs. I know black people that wouldn't split up from their family for Black Lives Matter. Fuck what color they is. Everybody that's marching with me for Black Lives, that's who I protect and that's who I support. I'm tired of supporting niggas just cause they black. I'm for real. Especially when they not giving back to what we got going on. The prejudiced white people, they're going by what the media says. Like they like Obama. Obama's cool. They like the black person that they work with. They like the black person at their school. They like the kid that's mixed, their black parent. But they still think the average black person walking down the street is like the niggas that they see when they show crime on TV, or when they show a murder, or when they show us on TV, when they show Black Lives Matter, burning stuff up. They think every other black person, 90% of us are that, because that's what they see about black people 90% of the time. So those people are truly just prejudiced. They see black people, they have a perception of black people from the media, and then they love the few black people they actually got to know. They just don't know any black people because their community and everything doesn't like resound with a lot of black people. And then you have like white people that just hate black people, period, no matter what they do. And the lack of education of those white people, sometimes when I talk to white supremacists, that's why I started to dialogue with them and those white people. They change on the spot. You've seen it several times in my life. I actually talk to them, and they'll think they're white power, they'll think they're white supremacists. And then I'll talk to them, and they'll be like, man, I'm really glad I got to talk to you. You cool as shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah. Like, they learn a lot of stuff, and then they stick their fist up for Black Lives Matter. I always dialogue with like white supremacists. I dialogue with like some of my. So you've seen Port Washington, and when I was out there, and I dialogue with them and try to engage in conversation because a lot of them are anti-government, which makes no sense. Because when you really think about it, this isn't Black Lives Matter will start the revolution, but this is really a rich and poor war. Blue Lives Matter wasn't even. We didn't even see those. It was literally pickup trucks, diesel trucks, usually, so they could blow that black smoke.
Yeah.
There was pickup trucks, Confederate flags, and Trump flags. That was it. Pickup trucks, and it was never the Confederate flag without Trump stuff. Never. We would even see more Trump stuff without the Confederate flag. Like people would come and put Trump 2020, Trump 2020 with their signs as a form of we hate you. You know what I mean? Even the last town I talked to, I said, dude, I'm a black Republican. I was like, vote for me. I'm a black Republican. I'm going to run for mayor in this town. They would not shake my hand. Your voters are white supremacist type Trump supporters, and those are the only people for you that vote for you and get you in office. Then what are you going to write as policies? Because you don't want to get out of office. You want your voters to support you. You know what I mean? So what are you going to do? It's really a rich and poor war, and a lot of them, even the Blue Lives Matter people, like a lot of white supremacist people, they'll say like, please kill us too. Exactly. You know what I mean? And that's like, yeah, we'll march for you too. Yeah, that's why you need to march with us. You know what I mean? We need to get killed a little bit more than you guys. From a ratios perspective, not from each actual person, but the ratios are way higher for black people. And it's in situations where we don't do anything most of the time, where white people sometimes do stuff and get killed by the police. I think the most disappointing thing that I realized was every black city that I went to, the activists were fighting. You need one group, one list of demands, and the people need to stand together as one. That's why they don't respect us, because we have different opinions within ourselves. And until we stand together as one in our cities, it's going to be hard to stand together as one as a nation. But the reality of the situation is we have to figure out a way to do it, because that's the only way we're going to really have a revolution. If you want the police and the military to lead your city, then you have to stop marching and stop protesting. That's the only way they're going to lead, because nobody's organized enough to get them to lead. Nobody's organized enough to get all of the politicians or anything. Right now in Milwaukee, if we were smart enough, we could take every automatic seat and every common council seat there in one swoop. Because it only take about 4,000 votes for some of them seats, 10,000 votes at the most, 8,000 votes. We might not be able to take a Senate seat right away. But once you take all those other seats, you can control city government. You can control everything. Now, this is about putting our differences to the side for what's right. And that's just the truth. You know what I mean? You got to put your differences aside for what's right. And that's all this is about. That's why it don't matter what color you are. And that change and the shift is the only thing they'll respect. Because they can march for 60 more years all black. They're not going to give a damn. But when these white people and Asians and Mexicans and all of that, now it's not black people marching, it's not Mexican marching, it's not white marching, not Asian marching. You know what's marching now? No. No. They don't care about that neither. You know what's marching now? Voters are marching. The uneducation of primary voting is strategically done. Unfortunately, I see it more by the Democratic Party, because for example, say you're gonna pay somebody $1 a signature to get people to get you on the ballot, because that's the first step to get you on the ballot. You pay $1 a signature for people to get you on the ballot. Okay, well, you only need 200 signatures to get on the ballot when you run from common council or anything like that. So anybody that can get 200 signatures can get on the ballot. So if you pay somebody $1 a signature, that's like $200 to get on the ballot. Okay, once you get on the ballot, most of those seats don't have no opponent. You're just in office.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As an alderman or as a county supervisor, and they don't want an opponent. So why would I advertise primary voting and I don't want an opponent? Because I benefit off the fact that all I need to do is get 200 signatures, and then I can become in office. And then we see them as like, oh, this person's an alderman, oh, this person is a common. Dude, this person got 200 signatures and didn't have no opponent. Not have people vote in the primary election, it hurts our national candidates, like Bernie Sanders or anybody like that. Because now we don't have, right now again, we don't have a candidate like we always don't. Who knew what day the primary election was? They don't even tell you. They don't even talk about it, but you always know the big election. And we have to get more educated than that. But it's the responsibility of the parties. The Republicans ain't never going to educate us on primary voting, because that's how we get a candidate we want in there. So why would they help us do that? The Democrats have to figure out a way to stop benefiting of the lack of knowledge of black people and figure out a way to have the best candidate there and care about that, instead of the position of the things. And that's how we win, because city government way important than national government. To me, when we walked, we saw some of the most beautiful landscapes in the world. Like some of those mountain looks, some of those scenes, I was like, man, this is why white people live here. Like literally, I was like, man, this is beautiful. Ask them how much is rent. They're like $500-600 for rent. They stand in these houses that looked like, you can ask them. We were passing houses, and then you walk through black neighborhoods, and they had whole black neighborhoods that were closed. Like every white, we walked through all these white neighborhoods, and I've never seen 3 or 4 foreclosed properties in one white neighborhood. We walked through black neighborhoods, the whole thing closed down. Whole neighborhoods, Gary, Indiana, the whole neighborhood was closed down. The whole neighborhood, dude. And it's 2 Americas out here. And that was sad, dude, to walk through and see that all the black neighborhoods had some sort of poverty, and all the white neighborhoods had no sign of poverty at all, like all of them. To literally, you think it conceptually like, oh, white people live like this, but to see how white people really live and to see how they act. Because when I talk about a black city and a black town where there's 1,500 people and we live there and we can have a police and all that, that's every white city in America. When I was walking through that town, I don't know who saw it live, when there was 1,500 people in it, and I was like, I should run for mayor here. Who the mayor of y'all town? And I was like, this is a nice little cozy town. I was like, I'm gonna run for mayor. Y'all need some black representation. They was mad as hell. You know what I'm saying? Like, black Republicans for Trump and stuff. I was just joking. But what I realized though was, what if I did move to a town with like 1,500 people? I mean, most of the white people will move out. You know what I'm saying? Like when we move in, they will move out. I mean, we ain't got to run them out or nothing. We just got to, all we got to do is move in. And if you took a town with like 1,500 people and y'all moved into that town and like conceptually took over the town and y'all conceptually had all the houses, now y'all are the police. So when the national government comes, no, we don't need y'all. We the police. We the teachers. We the school board. We the common council. We the mayor. You see what I'm saying? We living in America, but we control everything. You know what I mean? You could do that with 1,000 people or 1,500 people, but you don't want to build a city from the ground because that would just be expensive and it'll take too long. When you look at the system that oppresses us, there's nothing wrong with black people. It's a system that oppresses us. But when everybody else falls into that system that black people live in, they go through the same shit we go through. So it's not a race thing, it's a system thing. It's a system thing. And the system is designed for black people to fail. Because Martin Luther King didn't free one race, he freed all the races. That shit didn't say no blacks when he went to the bubblers in the restaurant. That shit said whites only. Okay? There was a lot of races that couldn't go to that shit. And when they write the laws, even right now, if they write the laws, if I were to get laws changed right now, that shit wouldn't say black people will be treated differently by the police. They'll write it for all people. That's why the Black Lives Matter movement doesn't even matter that you're standing up for black lives, because the legislation that will be wrote will be rough for white people too. It'll be rough for Asian people too. It'll be rough for everybody too. Doesn't matter if it's a Black Lives Matter movement. The legislation will be written for all people. You just have to show that you show compassion for the ones being punished the most. I mean, who wants to give up privilege?
Yeah.
Let's be real. Nobody wants to give up. White people don't want to give up their privilege. I don't blame white people for not wanting to give up white privilege. But you can't. You don't have to celebrate it because you don't want to give it up. You know what I mean? You don't have to act like, you're not getting a head start. There's a misconception about black people. When you talk about, it's like they're eating at this table, and white people got bigger crumbs than us underneath the table, and they're happy about it. Like, you're eating the same crumbs as me. You own your house. I rent next door. You have a Lexus, I have a Camry. The engine's made by the same people. You know what I mean? Like, you're not doing that much better than me. Okay, but you accept that, and it's not just white people, all the races. We've never won. Ever. We're still fighting for the same shit Dr. King fought for. So since we've never won, we gotta get our victory first. No offense to Dr. King, but they didn't ask for reparation. They asked for integration. They got what they asked for. You know what I mean? And on top of that, you'd be a fool to think that these white people are gonna plan our reparations. You gotta have a plan. How are they gonna pay it? You ask black people that's fighting for reparations, ask them how are they gonna pay it off. So they look at us and they think it's a joke because everyone says we need 100 acres and a mule, or we need all this money. Every black person should get 100,000. Well, where's it gonna come from? Black people don't have a plan to even pay out the reparations. White people ain't gonna write a plan for our reparations.